Are you sure? Are you sure it's me?
Oh, no doubt there. The pictures say it all. And what the pictures don't say, well, the documents I sent you fill in the rest. You're the man, Dan. Dan the man. Without a doubt.
And I'm the only heir?
Your father led a fairly private and secluded life. He had a small circle of friends he'd visit, correspond with, but no other family ties. You're the only heir, and the only provision even mentioned in the will.
How much, Mr. Kelsey?
Doug, please. Your dad always called me Doug. You should too.
How much, Doug?
How much inheritance? That's always the age-old question now, isn't it? How much? Well, let's see. Assets are still being evaluated, but the figure I gave you of several $1,000,000 seems pretty accurate.
Several million, Dan repeated as he caught his breath at the scope of it all.
Now understand, it's all been locked up in a trust at your dad's request. It's invested and will be eventually transferred to you, but as the beneficiary of that trust.
What's that mean?
Could mean a lot of things, but in this case, the way it was all drawn up, it means you don't get a big fat check to go do with as you please.
I don't? Dan was surprised.
Instead, the trust will be cutting you a check every month as an income.
Income? Well then, how much income?
On an annual basis, it looks to be about $500,000, give or take, and that's after taxes.
Doug said, very matter-of-fact. $500,000? Dan muttered in amazement.
More like,
Doug looked at a small sticky note on his desk blotter.
$48,835, or thereabouts, payable on the first of every month.
For how long? Dan managed through the shock.
Well, forever.
The lawyer almost seemed confused at the question.
For as long as grass grows and wind blows and all that, until the world financial markets collapse and the dinosaurs come back.
That's a long time, Dan breathed, still absorbing the numbers.
You are suddenly a wealthy man, Dan Peterson.
Doug Kelsey smiled at him from across the desk.
And you had no idea. You knew nothing of this before I called you.
None whatsoever. Dan shook his head.
Well, I'm not surprised, given your parents' relationship.
I was going to ask you about that, too. They seem to have gotten married when I was about 3?
Dan, your parents were never married.
I saw the birth certificate. I mean, I seem to have 2, but the old one, the one I have, shows her name as Peterson, but yours shows it as Nyman. Same for the checks, too, until I was about 3 years old. Then her name changed to Peterson because she got married, right?
Actually, no. She had it legally changed to match yours, that's all.
Now I'm really confused. Dan shook his head.
Let me start at the beginning.
The lawyer took off his glasses and cleaned the lenses with his necktie. He took a deep breath and settled in.
In a nutshell, after your father got out of the Air Force...
My father was in the Air Force?
Oh, yes. Served in Vietnam, too. He did Air Force ROTC at Michigan State, down in East Lansing. Honestly, he was hoping the war would be over by the time he was done. Even took time to earn his wings in Colorado, but still, that war dragged on, and when there was no more delaying it, they shipped him off. But the whole thing with your mother started when he got back. After the Air Force, he did something he always wanted to do and started writing freelance magazine and newspaper articles.
I Googled him, you know. I never found anything like that.
That's because he liked to write under pen names. A lot of what he wrote made it into Rolling Stone magazine. There he wrote under the name Howard or Hunter something. Can't remember, but it's not important here. Anyway.
My father wrote about rock and roll bands? Dan asked with some level of disbelief.
Your dad's last Air Force station was Selfridge Air Base, just outside Detroit. Detroit was the place to be in those days, and everybody in that business wanted to sit down with the Rolling Stone guy